out and about and getting around to some of the studs. Here in, I'd love to say warm Echuca, Brett Coffey at Alabar. Hello to you, Brett.
G'day, Paul. How are you?
A little bit chilly.
It's not too bad.
No, it's not. And
considering everything.
The team at Nutrien and myself, I suppose, we want to get out and keep promoting the studs. We go pretty heavy through the summer months and that, but a little bit of a quieter time and get some of the messages out there and I suppose the direction some of these the farms are going. Firstly, Alabar. I suppose a bit of a recap on last year. How was last year for the farm?
It was good, not great. Like, it was a tough year. I think it's been pretty well documented, the drop in numbers of mares bred in Victoria, and obviously being a Victorian farm where I wouldn't say Victorian century, but a lot of our clients are in Victoria, so that was pretty tough. But got through it. Yearling sales were good but not great as well. We knew we didn't have the same quality as what we had the previous year, so we did okay. It wasn't, it was certainly better than others, not as good as some others, so we're sort of somewhere in the middle. So we're doing okay, not brilliant, but doing okay, and we're back for another year, so that's the main thing.
It is, and we'll touch on that in a sec. Just with the numbers, on farm, did you notice the numbers dropping? Was it something that you guys were well aware of even before the stats came out?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, we don't on farm. We just have a pretty static amount of mares, and so that didn't change much. But yeah, no, we noticed it for sure. Yeah, and look, it's just what it is. Like, New South Wales are cashed up and willing to throw a real good amount of coin at breeding. It's a focus for them, so we knew that was going to be tough, and it means those New South Wales studs get a better opportunity, and that's just the way the business rolls. So, but yeah, it was pretty tough, and it's a funny thing. Like, it's your good stallions are fine. It's those ones that those mid-range ones, or the ones that sort of are just establishing themselves. Those ones are the ones that were hard, and that's, to be honest, that's sort of how I thought the stallion levy would play out. Like, everyone said, it's only on those high price ones, but they're the ones that sort of
sell themselves.
Yes, exactly. And commercial breeders have to go to those stallions.
Yep.
But then it just takes money out of their pocket. So then or it creates negativity, and then that means that they're not going to breed. They'll still breed their couple to up major, but then they might not breed their right high, or whatever stallions you want to put in that.
They send case. 2 or 3 to up major.
Yeah.
And basically, he's actually a bad one. I was thinking the same thing,
because he's not applicable. But
anyone wondering, he's actually right there next to us. Yeah. But exactly. So they might send 4 to Captain Crunch, and then they might say, well, we just can't afford to send one to, say, a Vincent or one of those that want to get going. And,
exactly. So that's what sort of happened when you looked at it. But look, that's just sort of the market we're in, and you got to work around it, right? Like, that's what we're dealing with. It's not going to change anytime soon, I don't think. So yeah, you just got to play within the boundary and do the best you can.
Does it affect getting a stallion out to Australia?
It hasn't yet for us anyway. We're obviously bringing Pebble Beach down this year, and he's a really nice horse. So for us, it hasn't. But who knows in the future? So far it hasn't, but it might in the future.
We'll stay on the stallions for a minute. We'll get back to the yearling sales and the direction of the farm going forward.
Yep.
14 stallions this year. I would imagine you are the biggest stallion. I don't know got the stallion barn in Australia.
Yeah. So we're going to have 11 on farm. I think we've got 2 that'll be at other farms. And then we've got Lazarus. We bought Lazarus in New Zealand as well. So yeah, so it's. I
actually did homework. I counted it up on your roster.
You did a good job there, Paul. Yeah. So yeah, no, it is. It's we'd be the biggest, and it's quite amazing to watch the staff work on a collection morning, because it does happen it's like clockwork. All the and we've got a really good crew, and it's pretty amazing how quickly and efficiently they can collect 11 stallions, pack it, and get it going to the airport. So yeah,
I'll throw one to you. Actually, I was just thinking, them Campbell's Commons might come here one day and just actually watch early in the season when you might have those 10 or 11 collects, and just show how it goes through. It's something we might do going forward, something a bit different, so people do get an understanding, because it is a big business, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is for sure, and it's and you've got to have you've got to have good staff, and we have that here, and we also have that knowledge base that you get from standing a good amount of stones for so long, and it's you sort of don't realise it until you actually have to deal with. You see it in other places. I'm not saying other places are bad or anything, but you just see it how it's done in other places, and you go, shit, like we do 11 of those things, 11 of those boys in a shorter space of time. Like it's so you sort of forget how sort of efficient we are here, but it is it is definitely the case.
What is the maximum stallions you can have? Because we're in a quarantine area here where we are. Is there a cap on how many you guys can have?
Well, only by the amount of paddocks we've got. Yeah. So what we could probably have a couple more. Yeah. But it gets harder because we've got to generally we've got to get the semen down to the air. We've got to leave here at about 8:30 roughly to get flights and stuff. So that's what restricts you. So we've got to
So I just realised I'm getting out of bed early, aren't I?
yeah. Because you're coming from Bendigo as well. So it's an hour and 10 or whatever, hour and 15. So yeah, but so that's the thing that restricts us. Like if we didn't have to get to the airport, well, you can take a bit more time, and but being 2.5 hours from the airport, it means you've got to get done by sort of 8:30. 8:30 and be out the door. So it does restrict you that way.
You got a great team. Dale runs it and does an awesome job. How many people do you have? And I know there's people like Tom and that wouldn't even be classed as staff, which they always chip in. And
Tom's the important part on one of the important roles on collection day. He actually collects the stallions.
Yeah,
he's had experience. For ages doing that. He did up in Tara Hills as well as Alabar and grown up around it. But there's. I don't know, I think there's 11 or 12 full-time staff. On collection morning we have 2 people packing, we have the lab, there's a couple of people in the lab, then 3 handling the stallions, 3 or 4 actually. So yeah, it's quite a big operation and it's pretty busy. But and then obviously Liz and Sally. Liz is fielding phone calls, taking late orders and stuff like that often, which is too much to her chagrin. It's and then we get orders from New Zealand, so it's pretty full on. But
it is big business, and one of the reasons I want to point that out is because I think a lot of people wouldn't realise, like they just think, Alabar got the stallions and it's easy, but it is a big business. You're bigger than a small business here, if you like, especially when we're just out the road from Echuca, and you probably your wages, especially for those summer months, would be equal to most of the small businesses there.
It is pretty big. So it's and it can be. Stud seasons are where you're making money, but they're also pretty terrible. A lot of the time it's just high stress a lot of the time, because you've obviously got the stallion part, but then you've got all the mares and foals and breeding and all that side of it, which takes up a lot of time as well. And it's amazing how stressful it can get at times, so you've got to try and keep it as stress free as possible for the staff and everyone, but it is long hours, and it is so we try, but it's still hard.
And then you've got pasture management and just potholes in roads and everything, because you've got so much more traffic that you don't, that people don't think about. So.
Yeah, that's the hard part for Tom. Like Tom does our collection, but he's also he's cutting hay and all through through night and stuff like that as well, and doing all that sort of stuff with the hay, which comes at the same bloody time. So it's not ideal, but it's just how it is.
Yeah, Tom, anyone wondering, Tom is actually Alan's son, and a very, very integral part of the place, and has been for a long time, ever since does he still ride motorbikes?
He does a bit. Yeah, not as much as he used to.
He shouldn't either. No. We'll leave that alone. But
he used to do it might be like 4 years ago now. He did went up to Darwin and did like an endurance ride. He likes his endurance riding as well. So but he doesn't do it as much as he used to. So
we're both into extreme now. Alan's into flying planes and Tom into riding motorbikes.
That's it.
Yearling sales. You said there before that you probably didn't have the high quality 2 years ago. I mean, you had a huge sale both in Sydney and in Melbourne. But overall, I think numbers, you guys would have been happy.
No, exactly. Yeah. It was down, but like. The year before we sold 4 $100,000 lots, which I still think is the only farm that's done that in Australia. So that's 1 year. So that was a huge year and surprising. Like that was over the top. So
there was a couple you were expecting, the Nike Franco and
Mackenzie's colt. Yeah. We were just lucky. We had 2 good colts out of those 2 mares. Yep. This year we've still got the Nike one. She had an issue with her hock. And so that was a bit of a downer because she would have sold really well. And then, the Mackenzie filly she was nice, but she wasn't that colt, which hurts you commercially, but that's just the way it was. But no, we still had a good year. Our stallions sold well, which was good for people. The majors still sold really well. Crunches sold incredible for a first year.
Yep.
So that was still really good. And it was just it was a challenging year, like at the sales for everyone. I think unless you had that real top colt. That's what people wanted this year, and if you didn't have that, then you were sort of just in the back in the pack a bit, and that's sort of where we were. We had a couple of good colt results. We had 3 art majors that sold really well. We were lucky with that, and then a couple of the fillies. The Mackenzie filly sold pretty well. The Joyful filly sold quite well. But that's just how it goes, Like, you got to breedings. You can't just look at 1 year. You got to look multiple years, because it's just you'll have good times and you'll have bad times.
And it's interesting with you got New Zealand as well, and it does evolve around the whole thing.
New Zealand had a great sale. So New Zealand had a ripping weanling sale the year before,
and an awesome yearling sale.
Awesome yearling sale. Graham was over the moon. His team there, Graham and Jamie, and everyone there. They did a great job, and they had a tremendous yearling sale. So that was great for them. It ebbs and flows. With the yearling sales, one thing you guys are terrific at, and a lot of the farms are as well, don't worry about that, but you're a team. You present as a team, you work as a team, you have breakfast as a team. Yeah. You look like a group of guys that actually enjoy it. I don't want to sound, a bit wanky, but yearling prep also can be highly stressful, which you probably see going around to teams. And we had a lot of yearlings this year. Probably had too many yearlings for the sale, to prep for us. Cause it just comes on the back of the stud season. But to walk over in that barn across the road and just hear people laughing is probably one of the more enjoyable things in my job. Honestly, I know that sounds a bit weird, but that's just. It was so pleasing to see those people get along and just do a good job, and not. Sometimes it can be. You sort of get infighting and stuff, and that's definitely not the case. It's just such a good team, and we bring people in, and we have people that just come in for the yearling prep that've done it before and that sort of thing, and it's just it was really pleasing, to be honest, and the team did a great job. And it is fun, and I say about Nutrien, and I think it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of people that we end up going to quite a few sales. So we were at every sale. You were too. You didn't get to Queensland, actually. I went to the Gold Coast sale, but not the other ones.
But it is actual fun. But like I said, you guys, you have your fun, but in the morning they're all down and have their breakfast, then they go out all dressed. And I think that's one of the great things about it. I think it represents the brand. I would imagine that Alan, when they started here, would be wanting to get, and I think that's one thing you guys do really well. As I said, there are a lot of other places that do it, and it's the exciting part. That's the thing I do enjoy about Nutrien. You say about the stress of watching the yearling. So I always admire the way the guys doing videos and photos, and if you look at the staff, they're always smiling, and they might have done that walk 20 times or 30 times, but they understand what they're doing, which that part's great as well.
No, exactly. No, it's really pleasing, and then the other cool thing, growing up, yearling parades didn't mean a lot to me, personally. It was never really, I didn't really care. It was always about the sale result. But seeing the staff when they've won, best presented filly first year, colt second year, pacing colt this year, and seeing that, that was really cool.
I remember the scenes 2 years ago. That was awesome.
And it really was, because I went into it and I don't really care. I'm not saying I don't care about the parade. I think it's a good thing that Nutrien do and everything, but to me it didn't really matter. But now it actually does, because I see the staff, how much enjoyment they get out of it, and seeing that their hard work means something to other people, and it means a shitload to me now as well. So it's really
something you guys strive for.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's really cool. And I remember, they're targeting certain ones, and they go, okay, well, this one's going to be the one that could get the trophy or the ribbon and that sort of thing. So it's things like that little things like that sort of give you a pep in your step.
Blanche Poole, who started here the smirk, I shouldn't say smirk, it was a great smile that she had when she won this year as well.
Exactly.
You're spot on about what it does do. I said this year with your stallion roster, that's it. You're not going to have anyone else coming in this year. Just Pebble Beach is the new one.
Not that I'm aware of, unless something changes. Sometimes it does, but no. Right now, that's it. Yeah, that's our roster for this year. All set.
You said with your mares, your band of mares, you've always got Emilio's horses here. Are you still evolving that? Is that like something that you're?
It always will be. Yeah, like. That's one thing that I'm very thankful to Alan that he's done over the past sort of 6 years. Say is he's spent a real good amount of money on our broodmares, and that's been a very conscious thing. We basically pretty much sold every mare that we had going back, I can't remember when it was, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. Kept a couple that too old or they're still down in the retirement paddock or whatever and that sort of thing, but basically sold everything and just restarted and reset everything. And because what we had wasn't good enough for the sale ring and wasn't good enough for our stallions, so it's definitely a bigger part of the business. It's still I find it a really tricky sort of needle to thread, the broodmare and the stallion side of it, like, because you can get tremendous results in the sale ring and it can generate you a large proportion of your income, but then also the other part that we've got those mares is to support these guys like Ride High, who's just over there, support them in their early stages, because it's in this country it's still very hard to get people to breed to first season stallions.
Yep.
And especially their good mares, like it just is, and that's how it is. So we're deliberately breeding some of our good mares to Ride High, and we'll breed them to Pebble Beach, and we've done to Crunch and that sort of thing. So, Storm Inside, like Storm Inside's only a relatively cheap stallion. We bred some really nice mares to him. We kept all of them, sold a couple privately, but and put them with trainers, and that's the way that we say, well, we've given that horse every chance, and if he doesn't make it, he doesn't make it. But it's so hard to get those stallions established that's the way that we've sort of looked at it, and whether it works or not, we'll see. I don't know, but that's how we're planning it at the moment.
Bardo and I were here looking at they were yearlings. I reckon it was Christmas time. I think it was actually even before they were in work, and
it was,
in work in preparation.
Yeah.
But there was a paddock, and there was, I think, 3 Storm Insides, and we could have took all 3 of those. But what you said there, because you're trying to make this horse, and it must be a fine line. Like they would have sold very, very well at the sales, but you have an obligation to your mares and your stallion to try and
exactly. And in hindsight, like they actually, there was that one of Ben Studs that the Emma bought that made $52,000. Well, we had a colt out of Caitlin Clark, who's actually at Ian Ward's right now, but he was easily as good as that colt, I think anyway. So maybe if we had if you could say like, oh, he's going to make $50,000, he's going to go to a leading stable, then you go, okay, well that's great. But it's when they might make $25,000 and it goes to a not a leading stable, then your horse doesn't get every chance, and that's the imperative part, especially in those first crops. You've got to get them out there.
That in itself must be a juggle for you guys, because you want an Alabar horse in every barn.
I know.
Barn going, but
hopeful. I struggle with it. I struggle with it a lot. Like I overthink things too much, and I'm generally a friendly person, and I try to be friendly with most people, because there's no point being being pissed off at people, because it doesn't get you anywhere. But it's it is hard. Like the whole things I find it hard. Like it's pretty easy just to breed your mare and then sell it like that, and that's the end. When you got to keep it, you got to put it in certain stables and that sort of thing. And I don't know. I'm sure most people don't really care, but it does play on my mind a lot. I do. It was one thing I wasn't expecting to come from you. You said there, like Storm Inside, and I think you've done a great job marketing him and getting it out there, and people can go to your Facebook page and have a look at that. Then you mentioned also like Ride High, which I would imagine that's going to be the same tussles you'll probably have. I was just walking around the weanlings today, and there's some really nice Ride Highs there. I don't know. We'll figure that out. I'll speak with Alan about it and what we do, and we've got more of them than we had the Storm Insides. We'll probably sell some and keep some, and I don't know, do it that way. There's one out of Full Joy that we definitely won't be selling that one, because she's also hard to get in foal. But so there's stuff like that. It's pretty hard, like, and it's just different. Like, I know Alan would have done it years and years ago, because Alan's done pretty much everything in the sport. But for me, it's something different, and it's and it just, I don't know, we'll try it and see if it works. If it doesn't, well, but I was also walking around the mares. We've got Nike out there. I just wanted to give Nike a pat because after Carlos Pixel made so much money, I thought, I'm going to just go see you, because you're worth a fair bit as well. And she's in foal to Ride High. So
so you're putting your
and that's some people will say it's stupid, but for us it's like, and it probably and it might be, I don't know, we'll see, but like it's
I mean, that's the reason you got Ride High. That's the reason he's here, is because you think he'll make a stallion. It's not because you feel sorry for the sport.
No. We love that horse, and like both myself and Alan and anyone that sees him, like, he's just, he's a beautiful horse. I still keep going back and watching his replays just to remind myself how good he was, and he's just phenomenal. But like Nike, realistically, like, pound for pound, she's probably one of the better mares in Australia, like, because she's such a good mare, and now she's got Bay of Biscay, who looks a really good 2-year-old. Commercially, it probably doesn't make a lot of sense to breed her to Ride High, like, but chances, I don't know. Like, we'll see what comes out and that sort of thing. But we'll, who knows if we'll sell that one or not. But the sensible thing is just to go back to Sun Beach, and she will actually go back to Sun Beach this year. But you put Ride High, see what happens, and hopefully get a megastar, and it sets both her and Ride High up.
Yeah, and that's, it's one of the things, I suppose people just look at it and we say, they got 14 stallions, they just, this one, there's a lot goes just in it behind the scenes.
Yeah, for sure, and as I said, I overthink stuff and that sort of thing, and the other part of it, the other part of the stallion part that probably a lot of people don't really appreciate is that, we obviously try to maximise the amount of mares that our stallions can serve, and so you are pushing the limits sort of to a degree. You've got a base limit where you don't want to send out, there's no point sending out a bad dose of semen, because it's just pointless and it just pisses people off, and you don't get mares in foal, and it's just not the right thing to do. But there's levels of that as well, and you in a stud season you have periods where you have 5 orders, and then you have another period where you have 20 orders. It's just how it works. You can't, if you could average it all out, it'd be fantastic, but you can't. So, like when on a collection morning, like we just, sometimes you just get too many orders and you've got to drop some mares, like it just happens. And it'll always be our mares that get dropped first. So that's also hard, because you're just going, well, shit, I really wanted to breed, my mare, I really wanted to breed Mackenzie to Art Major or whatever, whatever it is. And you go, well, no, I'm just going to either have to let it go through and get it next time, or we'll switch it to another stone or something like that. So these are all things that, people probably don't realise. And don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining about it at all, but that's just the reality of the business. Like, it's a lot more to it than
Which one do you normally go with? The plan, like, to say, right, we'll try next time, or the plan B? Does it depend, I suppose, on season? I suppose
it depends on part. It depends on everything. Like, sometimes you've got mares that you just, and everyone will find this. Sometimes you've got a mare that just matches perfectly with one stone, and you just go, I want to breed to that stone. Then other times you've got a mare that go, well, I can either breed it to Crunch or I can breed it to Pebble Beach. So it doesn't, it probably will matter in time, like one, but it doesn't really. They both match up nice. So it's stuff like that, or Ride High and Vincent are similarly bred horses. So that might have been one in the past as well, where you just go, oh, we'll just breed to Vincent or breed to Ride High because we had too many orders. So it's just. Yeah, I don't know. It's just depends each time, and just depends on how you're feeling sometimes.
This camera has to shut off after 20 minutes.
Okay.
No, don't worry. Anyone sees it restart, I'm telling them now, because I don't edit. But there might be a restart, because this is. But I just love it. I mean, it wasn't exactly what I was after. I wasn't sure what we'd get, but it's about promoting. But it's great insight as to what actually goes on in with the farm and the likes. You said that you were walking, like, around the weanlings, and the girls, Sally and Liz, both said oh, his dirty boots aren't here, because he does have his good nicks here, don't worry about that. But he, looking at them, one, how many weanlings or how many yearlings potentially would you have for sales next year? I'm not going to say to you to hold you exactly, but
no, there's think there's about 30 of ours, 30 something, yeah, around 30 anyway. And then obviously there's a few clients. I think, yeah, I've got one, Sally's got one. There's a few clients who'll probably send through the sale. So it'll be something like that, but I'd suggest we'll keep some of the right highs and break them in and, see how they go.
What's an ideal number for the sales, just before about sales?
Around 25, like between two,
Yeah, because you always go Sydney and Melbourne.
Yeah, we do, yeah. It's nice to split it up, and it also just makes it a nicer split for the staff. Like, so you don't have to get staff in, I guess, if you have those sort of numbers. It's when you start getting 25 to 30 for one sale, it just gets real.
And it's
real.
A great weekend in Sydney, because, Miracle Mile weekend, and get to sit back and have a couple of beers and talk curtains and things like that.
Exactly.
It's an in-joke.
Exactly.
It is all good.
Exactly.
How often do you walk around the paddocks?
Oh, I try to do it.
And just look, or?
Yeah, for me, yeah, probably at least once a week. Just, yeah. It's, I like to look at, see how everything's growing and see the mares and just catch up with some of them and stuff like that. But it's also, it's just a relaxation thing as well.
Yeah, that's good. I think that's pretty cool, actually.
It's funny, because I was talking to Joe the other day, and like, I always, I never surfed at all, but I always get envious of people talking about surfing, because they talk about the relationship with the water, and just sounds like it's just blissful out there. I get the same walking around horses, like, just, yeah. And I remember a few years ago, like, I just had I can't remember what the issue was. I had some issue, and I was just like, this might have been my first stud season here, and that was pretty tough. And I just remember just going and sitting out in the foaling paddock, and people must have thought I was lost my mind. But you just go sit out there. You actually, you're around horses, and it's just, I don't know. I find it meditative almost.
I think that's one of the great things. I think people forget why we do our industry. I think you just actually said it, because there is a love of it. There's a love of the horses. Yeah. It's not all about the dollar. And I think, and a lot of the studs say the same thing.
Like, everyone thinks studs make heaps of money. If it was about the dollar, this wouldn't be going.
No.
You'd sell it. You'd sell everything and just do whatever you wanted. Like, it's not about the dollar at all. But it's there's obviously part of it. It's got to be somewhat about the dollar, because you've got to keep ticking it over. But it's about the horse, and it's about that thrill you get when either you win a race or one of your clients wins a race.
Yeah, and I'll say right now, anytime Mac Cheddar wins a race, Brett's one of the first on the text, because and he's by better than Cheddar. I mean, he's no world beater or nothing like that. So you do have a genuine love of it.
Yeah, for sure, because like, I know everyone knows what it's like to win a race anywhere.
Yeah.
Not much better. Like, it's not much better than actually winning a race. Like, it's hard to.
Sometimes we forget, I reckon.
It's hard. I don't, because maybe you win more races than me, Paul.
No, I definitely don't. But
I think it's important as well, like, because it does. Because I know, what it would mean to you as well, and I think it's important to, like, just, congratulate people, because it's bloody hard to win it. Like, it's hard to breed a horse to win a race. Like, people think it's easy, but it's not. Like,
50% don't.
Yeah, well, even the best stallions, like, Major and Betters, like, I don't know what they average, but say they average 60%, 65% winners to foals. Well, there's still 35 to 40% that don't win one race.
Yeah.
So, it's still such a big thrill to win a race.
No.
And as breeders, you get massive thrill about seeing either one of your stallions breed a horse winner for you, or one you bred off the farm win a race. Like, it's incredible.
Yeah, there is nothing better.
No.
We mentioned there before Carlos Pixel.
Yep.
Good mate of yours, Shannon Nixon, and I'll throw him under the bus right now. I sent him a well done, and he told me that he was sitting in his ute bawling his eyes out. A great result. It's actually a great result for our industry. The fact that there is, unfortunately, a lot of negativity, stallion taxes, potential stake money decreases and things along those lines. But a quality horse, and you mentioned Nike Franco and that, they are becoming more and more valuable. Our industry is growing, although probably when we live inside of it, sometimes we think, well, we're going backwards.
Yeah. And I was actually chatting with Shannon this morning, and he's sort of he's relaxed a little bit since yesterday. He's still not great, he said, but he's doing better. But it is really funny when you think that 300 grand, like, it's a huge chunk of change to spend on a horse, but. Yeah, it's sort of a 2-speed, like, you got 270 for it, which is
Colt.
For the Colt this year, which is just crazy. Well, not crazy, but it's just a huge amount of money. And it's just like when you get it right, there's real good money there. Like there's real good money to be had. So because you've got people there that just want those horses. They just want the best.
Yeah.
You know, we. And this is not in the same frame as Carlos Pixel at all. But we bought, you know, Moments Like These retired, and we bought her off the syndicate, and that was, we had to pay quite a good amount of money for her. You know, more than what you would think. So, or maybe not, but more than it was a good amount of money. So, for those good race mares that are well bred, they're worth a lot now.
It's one thing, as I said, it was going to drop out. You do get nervous about purchasing horses for Alan and for Alabar itself.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, it's not my money, but it's Alan's money, and that's, you know, I take great responsibility in spending it. You know, I know you're not going to get every decision right, and not everyone's going to pan out, but over time you hope you make, you know, more right decisions than you make wrong decisions, I guess.
Does Carlos Pixel give the farm confidence? Like, do you see that, and you know, like, well, we won't worry about where she's going to end up.
Yeah.
But do you see that as a positive for our industry?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. It means people still want to invest in it. You know, invest a lot of money in it. There's obviously multiple parts to the industry, but if you're got, you know, people with hundreds of thousands of dollars that still want to buy a broodmare, well, that's great. Like that means that, you know, there's still a lot of life left in the industry. So we can all get harness racing. I don't know whether it's every industry. I haven't even been involved in harness racing, so it gets down at times, and I try to you know, not avoid that, but not, you know, not live in it, because otherwise, what's the point? You know, you got to love what you do, and you got to realise that you're lucky. Full stop. Like, you know, we're in Australia. We're not, you know, in a war-torn country or something like that. So that's the way I've got to have my mindset. And, you know, and I realise I'm privileged and lucky to be in this role, and, you know, all that. I fully appreciate that, and I'm not, you know, I'm not trying to, you know, win a $4,000 race, you know, at Kilmore or whatever
on a cold
winter's night. So I realise I'm lucky in that respect, but you got to look, and you got to be realistic, but you got to be positive as well, because otherwise, what's the point?
It's one of the things, like I try to do this while we're here in the middle of winter, when it's not really the ideal time to be talking to studs, but there is still so much going on. But I mean, that's the thing. We need the industry to be positive. Does it get to you, like the negativity from time to time?
It does from time to time. I'm probably a little bit lucky that I don't spend a lot of time in the racing industry. I reckon the racing part of it gets more negative than the breeding part. Obviously, there's a lot of negativity in the breeding as well in recent times, especially. Yep. But yeah, I don't have any time for that and rumours and, you know, all that sort of stuff. I just got no time for it.
No, neither do I. That's why I try to have fun and try to show people. There's
obviously bad things that happen in the sport. There's bad things that happen in every walk of life. You know,
we just don't think it because we're in it and we think it's the only thing we see.
Yeah. And, you know, I don't want people cheating, and I don't want all that stuff. But, you know, if you just think about that all the time, then you're not going to get ahead yourself.
No.
You can't. It's impossible.
The positivities, we've got the Eureka coming up. It's going to be a $2 million race. Right, we've got the Eureka coming up, and there might be a little cut out there because I might have said something. But it is exciting, albeit how the money came about. But a $2 million race for harness racing is super exciting.
Yeah, amazingly exciting. Oh, yeah. No, it is. And to see what the boys at Summit and Aaron Bain are doing, you know, getting Charles Oliveira out is just... It's wild. Like it's you know, it's incredible. It's such a good thing that they're doing for the sport.
I didn't realise they were getting him out. I thought it was Clubman Angle.
No, it's them.
Right.
Yeah, they've done all the work with it, and it's pretty amazing. Like, I don't know Aaron that well. I know Jamie, and he's got a lot of energy. He's got far more energy than I could, and he wants to do something.
He is a sales junkie.
Yeah. If he wants to do something, he just puts all his effort into it, and it's phenomenal what they're doing. Yeah. So no, it will be exciting for sure, and like it's, you know, it's going to be an incredible race as well.
Yeah. You mentioned Moments Like These, the Winter Carnival in Queensland again. It's great. It's something for people to look forward to and be positive about.
Yeah, for sure. Like what they're doing up there is amazing, and it just seems to be, you know, it obviously got really big, and then they just keep improving it, like adding little things, adding the trotters race,
the Great Square.
The Great Square, that's right. Sorry, the Hayden, you know, adding races like that, increasing prize money. You know, the Oaks and Derbies are worth 150 now, stuff like that. So, it's a serious carnival.
Yep, and the sport continues to grow, and that's, I think, what we've got to do. I won't say from Alabar, you still continue to sponsor the Nutrien race series as well, which is going to be in August. But
yeah, looking forward to it.
Alan's always
might actually win that race. I just realised.
You might.
Bay of Biscay might win.
Yeah, definitely.
I presume you might go there.
You're hoping.
Yeah.
That'd be nice, actually.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. But okay.
Well, you won't do a run down the straight with a hat in the air or something like that. You might.
Might be more than that.
We won't hold you to that.
I presume he's aiming for that race, but we'll see.
I know, speaking to Alan from time to time, he always has a few different ideas, if you like. What about Brett Coffey? Like different race series or different ways of looking at some things?
Less so than Alan, a lot less than Alan. I'm much more grounded.
But do you have an idea?
No, I think you just got to continually improve. That's the thing I've always try and focus on. I lose it at times, but is just doing little things incrementally better. Like, I'm probably not a massive big picture person like Alan has been and various other people have. It's about, providing a good experience. Obviously the main thing at the moment, that's where Summit's done such a great job, is getting new owners into the sport.
Yeah. And that's imperative, I think.
It is, yeah. Because even now, you might go to a sale and go, I only got 15 grand for my horse. 15 grand is still actually a lot of money to find. If you or I wanted to just go spend 15 grand, well, it's still a good amount of money.
Unfortunately now that doesn't get you the average. That's the worst part.
I'm just talking. 15 grand is probably a disappointing sale for a lot of people. So it's still a lot of money for someone to go find. So we've got to do a better job of that. I know everyone always talks about it, but it's just something that's got to happen.
Just on that, like Dean Shannon, Entane Ladbroke's got a lot of money. The one thing he's found is getting shares with people, and he buys most of his horses in New Zealand. The fun he's having, like Merlin and those sorts of horses that he's able to share and enjoy that fun with them too. And that's the other part that we probably undersell a bit with. If you only got 15 to spend, you might be able to get into with a group of guys, put 10 in. You still got 5 in your back pocket. Yeah, exactly. And be able to have that fun going to the races.
But we've got to have that the mechanism for people to do that, because it's not that easy. It's easy in the thoroughbreds. It's not easy in harness. So we've got to change that somehow. And there's various things I think we can do there, and I think we will do. The other part that I think is then taking that to the breeding side as well, and I think we'll try this a little bit this year, is just try and get some new people into some of these horses which they might not be able to. Well, breeding is even harder because no one understands. If you're not in breeding, it's bloody hard to understand what happens,
the hidden costs, and
and how it all works, and it's definitely not all roses, but it is good fun. I think for the most part. Overall, it's better than it's fun. So I think we'll look at doing some stuff like that a little bit, with trying to get some new breeders in to at least experience it. It's just about trying to do little things all the time to be a bit better and just make it fun, I guess. Yeah. Because if it's not fun, then, like I said, what's the point?
No, he's exactly right. And we want to make money. Everyone wants to make money, but I think if you just got to be smart about the way you go about it. But I think if you come into the industry to have fun, and not lose money, I think it's a great sport.
Yeah, exactly. And you would know this, like with Holly, like they don't make any money out of it. Like they don't,
So when he saw in Holly, he's talking about with the show jumpers and things like that.
I know there is prize money at certain levels and whatever, but just general run of the mill, they're doing it for ribbons.
Yep.
And they're spending a lot of money doing it. Yep. But it's what they like.
And that's probably the one thing we've got to change about the industry. It's got to go back to being fun. It's got to be fun to go to the race meeting. It's got to be fun to be a part of it. And that's one thing I love about the yearling sales.
Yeah, it is.
And I know Grant last year, he saw it in a whole different light walking around with me. So that's one thing we want to get out.
And I don't want to seem flippant about people's livelihood either, because I realise that you've still got to. It's still bloody hard for trainers and drivers and breeders to make money and to make a living and incredibly long hours and all that sort of stuff. So I don't want to be flippant about it, but you've also got to have some fun along the way.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think that's one of the key things. And we mentioned Nutrien, camp drafters, and the money that are in those sales. It's the same thing. they are now competing for good money, but
Yes.
but it's a way. But at the end of the day, they have fun. They have a beer with each other afterwards. Whereas at the minute, it's a little bit lost in our game right at the present.
It is a bit, yeah, and it's funny. Like speaking to Jess and Greg, especially Greg, because he was over there longer and stuff like that. But just his amazement at how excited people were that he was there. And his horse, obviously, but so that's part when you get in that grind, and it is a grind, 7 days a week, going to races in Bendigo, Ballarat, Hamilton, going all at Shepherd and going all over the state, that's a grind, and then training horses as well, on a daily basis. But you just got to sort of at some stage, step out of that a touch and just enjoy it a bit, and like Greg, they really loved him being over there, and that's and it's just nice, that sort of stuff's just nice, and so. But it's bloody hard. I speak with Andy. Obviously, I'm friends with Andy and Jess and Greg and other people, and it's just constant.
Yeah.
It's constant.
Maybe one thing they've got to look at with our sport, but then it gets harder because they say we need the races for turnover. It's a vicious cycle. But
it is a vicious cycle. I'm not saying I definitely don't have the answers, but it's just you've got to have fun. You've got to take a little bit of time out occasionally and just enjoy it.
I recommend people get to the yearling sales and sit back afterwards, and they'll understand what the curtain comment is. But it is. I think there is some facets of the sport that are fun. But and be able to enjoy that winner. I think, as I said, because it is a business, sometimes they win that race. People say, he's got to win next week. Stop and enjoy that one win when that happens. There is nothing better.
Exactly.
You guys here, the breeding and Calf, everyone around here, when they breed a horse and it wins that race, everyone gets a kick out of it. If you haven't experienced it, you actually probably don't realise that one kick out of that one win at Echuca Trot. It's it's a brilliant thrill.
Exactly, and 100%. I've never raced too many. It was part of moments like these when she won the Queensland Oaks, and that was really cool.
And you loved that, didn't you? Being part of her,
I loved it. No, for sure. But two biggest thrills, Nostrovilla winning a Breeders' Crown, huge. So happy she won. So happy for Anthony and Tommy that when she won. But last year, the coolest moment was Joyful winning the Vicbred. We
seen Cam before it.
Cam before it. That was just embarrassing.
That was my thrill.
That was embarrassing. He's a shocking horse owner. But we bought Joyful off Scott Robinson. So and good amount of money, and she's obviously she's not a great breeder. First crop Mickey, who were part of getting him as well, and then bred it, and then she was meant to go through a yearling sale, didn't because she got colic and nearly died, and she got through that, released it, and they ended up buying a Cam and Daryl and Cran in New Zealand. It was really cool to see Cran involved in that, but then seeing them win and presenting them the trophy because we were sponsoring as well. That was honestly biggest thrill because it's just so pleasing on every aspect, and to see her, win like that, and then win for Emma and Clayton and Pity as well. It was that part of it. You can't buy that experience. It's just so pleasing. To see good friends win a race with a horse that were part of breeding and part of buying the mare and part of buying the stallion. It's just next level stuff, and you can't buy that stuff.
No, and it's the one thing we probably don't sell enough.
To be honest, it's hard to sell though, because how do you actually sell like that?
If you could bottle it, you make a fortune. But you're right. But I mean, getting the message out there for people to understand and things. It's still one of my greatest thrills was running third in the Vicbred one year.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just it's such a blast to,
And that's the thing I try to explain. I was saying to Jess the other day, or a while ago now, but no, it was Jess and Greg after the Elite lot because they were devastated.
Yep.
And I said to them, don't be devastated, because what you've provided these owners is just once in a lifetime opportunity. This is probably the best day that these owners are ever going to have in their life, outside of marriage and children and stuff like that. Sure, it didn't work out, the way you wanted it, but just going there, that's something you can't buy, and we always forget that because it is part of their job, and they want to win.
We're measured on winners,
exactly,
not on enjoyment.
Exactly, and I understand that because Greg has to. All drivers have to be competitive because otherwise, they're not going to win. But you also have to step back, and I know it's hard straight after a loss like that, but you step back and you go, well, shit, look what we've done, and look what we've done for our owners, like, and for the sport and everything. Like, it's just phenomenal. And you sort of have to realise that owners, while they want to win, they're not always about the win. Some of them probably are, and some of them probably worried about every dollar and everything like that. But a lot of them just want to experience that win and go to the races and pat their horse and talk to you and see how the race is going to be run and all that sort of stuff. So that's the important part that we have to remember.
Yeah, about our sport. Covered some ground.
Yeah.
Wasn't sure exactly where it was going to go. We've been right across everything. I do appreciate your time. I appreciate you're always good with advice on camera and off camera for me, like in a way, so I do appreciate that from a Campbell's Comments point of view. Just quickly, I was meant to mention it earlier too, Dad back at the farm.
Yep.
Got to be a good thrill for you.
Yeah. No,
being Dad's boss would be a even bigger thrill, I would imagine. But no, in all seriousness, to have Dad returning must be great for the farm.
Yeah, for sure. And I think he'll, he's obviously, and it's one good thing about Alan. Like, Alan's very loyal. Alan will always say that the Coffeys are as much involved in Alabar as the Galloways, and that's really nice. So to have Dad back's really, really nice, and he also. Unlike me, loves talking a lot. Like, I'm not a massive talker.
People are going to think that's strange when they get to this part of the conversation, but that's okay.
Dad takes it to another level, and so that's a part of the business, which he'll really fill in. He's well respected, well liked, so he'll be able to fill that role. But yeah, no, it's nice.
All right, mate. I'm going to go. I'm shivering, shaking. I don't know how many times I've had to take that
jacket on as well.
Oh, I have. I haven't got I've only got a short sleeve shirt underneath. No, it's dropped about 4 degrees here in sunny Echuca. I keep telling people how great the weather is.
God's country.
It is God's country. Darren Hancock, if you're watching. But yeah, no, thank you very much. Well done for everything you're doing. Your continued support with Nutrien. Thank you for that. And the fun we have at the sales. It's always a bit of fun. I actually recommend people get to the sales. Doesn't matter where it is. I still reckon one of the best sales to go to is a weanling sale in New Zealand. But all the yearling sales and have some fun, but hang around afterwards. Don't just buy your horse and take off. That's the one thing.
Good. It's good fun, and get involved in breeding if you can as well, because that's good fun as well.
Yeah, it makes Brett more money. Thanks. Thank you very much, mate. Thanks for the chat.
Thanks, Paul. Cheers.